So I'm done with brain and spine, and we move on to mammogram. Mammogram is a very, very sensitive imaging, and it's a very important, significant imaging when it comes to breast carcinoma, and particularly for women who are at high risk. And the most important factor that you need to keep in mind when you're scheduling an MR mammo, you just can't, it's not like a walk-in procedure, particularly in our institution. We do schedule it and do it. Two reasons: the hormonal status and the menstrual cycle are two important considerations. Now, you have the ovulation in the follicular phase and the luteal phase. So the ideal time of imaging the breast will be between the 5th and between the 6th and 12th day, or between the 5th and 15th day, because the luteal phases of the menstrual cycle will have associated increase in the estrogen levels and the progesterone levels. So it will cause the edematous stroma, and you will have the lobules will be developed. So there will be patchy enhancement, patchy background enhancement uniformly. So you will not be able to appreciate the pathology better. So it will lead to, in the first image you can see, it will lead to increased enhancement during the luteal phase. Okay, so the mammogram should not be performed at this particular phase. So you need to know, you need to perform, particularly when you're doing it premenopausal women, perform between the 6th or 12th day, and you can, for better accurate diagnosis and prognosis. Okay, so you can see this image with an increased background parenchymal enhancement, which is not desirable. You need to have this sort of an image, right? So this is for scheduling. Ask the patient when was the last cycle, and then you fix the mammogram accordingly, right? When you're going to do the mammogram, your positioning plays a very, very crucial role. Now, look, this is the mammo coil in our institute. Of course, everywhere it's going to be the same cavity imaging. You have two different cavities, and you have these gray color ones or the supporting pads. You need to make the patient comfortable for a successful imaging in breast. Okay, so you need to know that the patient does not move during it. Definitely it will take about 40 to 45 minutes because you're going to complete it with perfusion and spectroscopy. So it's very difficult for the person to lie down in the prone position with the breast suspended within these two spaces, within these two cavities. So you need to see that the patient is comfortable, give them the headrest, see if they're comfortable keeping their face in prone position or in one lateral position. And before positioning, you need to cannulate. See, the IV line should be cannulated, not when the patient is on the table and when the plane sequences are done, you go and then cannulate it in the MR room. No, that is not wanted. You know that an MR mammo is going to be done, and definitely the patient is not going to walk in for an MR mammo without any previous imaging. They will have their ultrasound reports or an X-ray mammogram reports. So just go through that, and you know whether the patient will definitely require a perfusion. So perfusion is the gold standard when it comes to MR imaging. So start an IV line, make the change, the patient change to hospital time, start an IV line, and then position them. Give them enough supporting pads so that they're comfortable throughout the examination. Now, this is the exact or the optimal image that you want without any asymmetry of both the breasts. Now, how do you achieve it? Okay, so you need to support, you will need to position with both your hands, see that the breasts are suspended within the coil, and the nipple should be in the center of your region of the, within that imaging coil, in the coil, it should be in the center. And the nipple, the breast should be, you should see the, I put arrow marks on either side. The superior aspect and the inferior aspect should be intact, and the nipple should be suspended. Okay, your incorrect positioning can result in a lot of unwanted images. Now look at this. There is ununiform, and actually there is no uniform fat suppression in this particular image. You can see blunting of the nipple areola area, and here you can see some artifacts because the patient is not comfortable, the patient is moving a little bit, and here also you can see ununiform, not a homogeneous fat suppression. All these are because of your positional errors. So ensure that the patient is comfortable. It's okay. Go inside, correct the procedure, correct the position once or twice, and then start the complete examination. Once you do the perfusion, you need to post-process the images. So perfusion, as I said, is the gold standard, and you need to get the curve. So this is a color map. This is the maximum slope of increase, and this is your signal enhancement ratio. Now, many times our students ask, how do we post-process the images, ma'am? Where do you keep the cursor and to get those curves? Because the Kuhl's curve, kinetic enhancement curve, you have three types, type 1, type 2, type 3. Now, this is a curve with a progressive enhancement, okay? You have two, you have an initial take-up and a delay take-up. So this is a progressive enhancement. The second one is a plateau shape, where there's a deep enhancement, there's a deep uptake, and then it falls flat. The third one, a steep increase and an immediate washout. So your curve determines the prognosis of the patient or the diagnosis of the study. Now, where if you see a lesion in your plain images, once you do a perfusion, go through all the 6 phases or 8 phases of the images and see where there is intense enhancement of that lesion. That particular section you need to take, or that particular phase you need to choose. Zoom on one image, go to your windows, scroll the images, increase your FOV, focus on one particular breast, look for that enhancement area, keep your voxel or keep your ROI there, and get the curves and store it. So this is very, very important in your post-processing. Fine? Right. So, and you might see the request, as I said, you might see patients coming with ductal pathologies, ductal carcinoma in situ, and I said you will go through the ultrasound findings or sonomammo or an X-ray mammo. Definitely, they're giving some details about dilated ducts or tortuous ducts, ectatic ducts. Don't forget to do a 3D Fiesta and do the Reformats. You can see here, you can demonstrate the dilated ducts very well. So, little bit of, you just go extra mile to see what the clinical indication is. You can definitely do wonders, which will be to make the radiologist interpretation very, very, very easy. Fine. So we are done with the MR mammo. We are going to MRI abdomen. The preparation part in very few studies I'm going to say, right? Not going into the entire details of it. So first is the MRCP. You need to have 4 hours fasting. Better to go for some, 15, 20 minutes before you can give them the dexorin syrup or the pineapple syrup, because they're rich in iron and manganese content. So you're trying to image the biliary ductal anatomy. So usually you will have some sort of artifacts coming from the duodenum and the stomach. So you want to suppress those signals, highlight only the ductal pathology better. So when you give the syrup for them, it will null the signals in the GI tract because of defacing, because it is rich in iron and manganese content. There will be a lot of defacing. So because of defacing, there will be signal loss and you will be able to see the ductal pathologies better. And when it comes to abdomen studies, your gating plays a very, very, very important role. How you fix the gate, bellows, respiratory bellows, fix the respiratory bellows. Before you fix, ask the patient to breathe normally, see the rise of the diaphragm up and down, look for the maximum area where there is elevation, place the respiratory bellow there, and then look on your monitor, come and see the wave pattern, how it is. Now this image sound is because the patient is fluctuating, he takes a deep breath, he takes a shallow breath. That shouldn't be there. Instruct the patient to breathe normally. Okay, don't give him instructions to take a deep breath initially. Tell him to breathe normally and tell him to hold his breath very shallow. Tell him to hold his breath in a shallow manner when you get instructions over the two-way communication. So you should see, particularly in a gated sequence, in the 3D respiratory gated sequence, you will be getting a wave pattern like this. So once you connect the bellows, see that the transducer is plugged properly and your gating has to be in place to get motion-free images. Okay, if you put the bellows like this, it controls both the diaphragmatic movement from the chest and the abdomen. Okay, the next is your, okay, when it comes to abdomen, I'm not going into the regular sequences, but then when it comes to adrenal imaging, okay, you should, as I already said, the in-phase and post-phase imaging, you should be able to do, particularly if they're looking for some adenomas, adrenal pathologies. Don't forget to complete it with the in-phase and post-phase. It's hardly 20 seconds, 15 to, depending on the number of slices that you do, you will have to complete it with in-phase and post-phase imaging. Okay. MR enterography. No, we say it's very easy. Actually, you're going to do an abdomen study, but you should know what is the preparation. Many of us say, what is the preparation for an enterography, right? You ask the patient to start the overnight fasting and you take 2% mannitol, okay? Because mannitol is a neutral contrast and it draws in fluids into the abdomen, causing adequate distension. So you need to mix the 2% mannitol, say it comes as a 1 pint is 100 ml. Just mix it in 1 liter of water or 1200 ml of water. and ask the patient to drink it over a span of about 40 to 45 minutes. And please see that you don't put a case with a prolonged examination on the table when you're starting the preparation for MR enterography, because if the distended bowels, when the bowels are distended, you need to do the study. Suppose the patient has started drinking and it's almost 1.5 hours. By the time you put the patient on the table, the bowels will be collapsed and it will fill the large bowel. It's going to be a very shabby examination. So you time your examination the moment the patient starts drinking in a period of 40 to 45 minutes, about 200 ml every now and then you need to time the examination and put the patient on the table when he's almost done with it. So, and then to promote the gastric emptying, some institutions use the 10 milligrams of metoclopramide. Of course, you need to check with your institution protocols, but the preparation is taking mannitol in water, right? Difficography. Now, this is a very, again, a sensitive examination. Why I have put this slide is just two things. Keep a diaper or, underpads on the table, and then place the coil, very important. And then when you're positioning the coils, you need to see that you place the knee pad so that, and for this, the preparation, the patient should be emptying the bowels about 2 hours before the examination, and to reduce the patient's discomfort, and also the patient's cooperation should increase. He or she should cooperate with us, particularly during the dynamic and the evacuation phases. So you place a pad so that, they will be lying down very comfortably, okay? And then the supine patient, so you place the patient supine. This is a wraparound coil or a torso coil with the knee elevated. Okay, you can place a pillow or a knee pad, whatever it is, which will facilitate straining and evacuation, right? Now, these are the images, and this particular examination, you're going to instill contrast, right? The jelly, you're going to instill rectal contrast. And you have to rehearse before you put the patient on the table as to how what you expect from him. Like at rest, you're going to perform this 2D Fiesta sequence, that is cine imaging, okay, or a multi-phase imaging, whatever you call it. And then whenever you give instructions, he needs to squeeze. And then when there is when you say strain, he has to strain. And when he has to defecate, you need to give them instructions. So you have to rehearse this before you put the patient on the table, and then place an underpad. And this is what is expected. Then you can have to educate the patient saying that this is what we expect you to do. Rehearse it and then start the examination.